Hi, my name is Stachen Frederick and I am one of the fellows as part of the Association of Fundraising Professionals Fellowship in Inclusion and Philanthropy. I am the Executive Director of Western Frontline Center, a youth charity in Toronto, as well as founder of a not-for-profit organization called Braids for AIDS, which raises awareness around HIV/AIDS within the African, Caribbean, and Black communities in Canada and internationally. Today, I would like to talk about networking, favoritism, and nepotisms. You'll hear many speak of nepotism and favoritism as it relates to access to jobs. However, I see the same concept impacting the philanthropic sector, a sector that is supposed to be looking at the betterment of all. However, through these practices, exclude many who don't have access to those in power who can channel funding to their different causes. I know for myself, many times in working in different organizations or doing consultancy work or collaborating with other organizations, that funding happens because of who knows who to give money to. Sometimes when I look at even grants for corporations, a question may arise on the application that asks, do you know someone in the organization? Are you connected with anyone in the organization? Have you spoken to anyone in the organization? And I know that for corporations, they may have that question there to act as a reference point so that they can speak to someone and ask them, do you know of this charity, this not-for-profit organization's work in the community? But I know in terms of doing grant writing courses for individuals who run grassroots organizations, that sometimes when they see this question, they think that this is a barrier for them to be able to access funding from this particular corporations. I think of this same concept when it looks at individual donations. Many of the marginalized communities who do amazing work in their communities don't have access to the spaces where those empowered, those with large pockets congregate or reside. They simply don't have access to some of these spaces. And as a result, how can they get to those people that are able to fund their different causes in the communities? And of course, there are ways to move forward and in this particular field to ensure that we are engaging everyone from diverse populations to be able to network and connect. And so I say to corporations, when you look at your corporate social responsibility strategy, are you connecting with corporations? I made a few notes and I wanted to share those pieces. So of course, it's about looking at information sessions within the communities that you are interested in, the communities that or the causes that you are interested to hold information sessions so that individuals from all different backgrounds have access to these sessions, that you can meet with them and you can network and get to hear stories. I also want to say that it's not just about utilizing who you know within your corporation to be that reference point, but perhaps asking not-for-profits or charities to give support letters or to give numbers of people that you can call and can have a reference. The same way for a job, you will call and get a reference for the candidate, is to call and to get reference in regards to the charity. I mean, in this social media world that we live in, there are things such as websites or Facebook or Instagram that can showcase the work of the charity and not-for-profit, and so that you can can look at and see that they are doing the work, they are making impact in their community. So that question on that particular form may not be necessary, but if there is that question, sometimes to put in brackets into that question that this doesn't determine whether or not you get funding or not, but it acts as a reference point to us. For corporations to see other ways in which they can support charities, if charities or not-for-profits or grassroots organizations, many times grassroots organizations don't have the structures which would allow for corporations to give large financial donations, so it might look at supporting a charity providing in-kind office space or storage. Many grassroots organizations, the charity runs in the back of their car, in their basement, and so having corporations look at other ways in which they can support organizations in the community. For not-for-profits, for some of these large not-for-profit organizations and charities, is to mentor some of the grassroots organizations, the smaller organizations, to pull them into spaces where they will have access to those who are in decision-making positions. But then I also say it's not just about for the corporations, the government, the larger not-for-profits or charities, but also for some of these grassroots and smaller not-for-profits or charities to also take up space. One of the things that I did one time when I wanted to make contact with someone from a bank, I saw that this individual was doing a presentation somewhere, and I decided to go to this particular presentation. It was a free event, and I made sure and went and speak to the speaker afterwards, gave my business card, and then followed up. So, you know, if it's going to Scotiabank AIDS Walk of Life, that needs to happen. If you want to meet someone from the corporate social responsibility team or the engagement team, is to go to some of these places. Go to conferences. A lot of times now in this corporate social responsibility sector, there are different conferences that are happening, and those who are in corporations do attend these events, and it's an opportunity to network and to gain contacts in some of these corporations. Go to meetings with government when conversations around business opportunities are happening, information session, get onto the newsletters of councillors or MPs of all different levels of government to make sure that you're in those spaces to meet various individuals. If it's going to business networks, BNIs, or even looking at here in Toronto, for example, there's the business chamber meetings, to being part of some of these membership networks and meeting people. There's all these different ways in terms of in which not-for-profit smaller organizations can take this space. The government is also part of this, ensuring that when there's opportunities for businesses to come into communities, that they are being connected to grassroots organizations and smaller not-for-profit organizations that can benefit from the support of these larger corporations. If philanthropy is about the love of human beings, no one should be excluded from being accessed to funding. So I hope through these different tips that we can make a society that is better for all. Thank you for listening. Please provide any comments. I will give the opportunity, take the time to respond to your comments or questions. Thank you.